The Evermore podcast is now sponsored by WFST Total Compliance. WFST provides fire safety requirements UK-wide to prepare you and your employees should the worst happen. Do what you do best and visit wfst.co.uk today. Enjoy the episode.
Let's go!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with a new match preview or a different match preview than normal. You normally got us on the pre-record, but this has been an absolutely hellish week for both me and Mark with the day jobs and the normal day-to-day life taken over. We've struggled to record the pre-recorded match preview, so we thought, why not do it live? So that's what we're doing tonight, guys. So anyone who's joined us in the comments, thank you so much. We are live. Drop a comment in, let us know what you guys think about the preview that we're going to go through here, the lineup of the lads. Anyone who's not completely knackered with injury probably is going to get a start, I'd imagine, but we'll get stuck right into this in a minute, as we always do on the previews. We'll talk about how I think the lads are going to line up, talk a little bit about the opposition, how I think the game's going to go, who their danger players are. But as we're live tonight, we can have a little bit of back and forth as well, which would be very different and very enjoyable, I'm sure, from the normal match previews. Just before we do, a little bit of housekeeping as always. If you haven't already, click subscribe. We'd love you to come and join us. We're over 5,400 subs. Loads of room for you guys on Evermore. We've got loads of Newcastle United content. We've got the transfer rumours. We've got the match previews you just about to watch. We've got the post matches. Got the old rant every now and again. I haven't ranted for a while, actually. I did have a few comments about some particular TalkSport morons that I should have a little rant about. So maybe there's some in the chamber coming soon. But feel free to smash that button and you'll see all that content. If you want to be a member as well, it's less than a pint of lager. Give it a smash. It's $1.99. We'd love to have you on board. Members get early access to videos as well. And as I said, we're live tonight, so let's have a look who is in the comments. Les, the serial winner. We could do some serial winning at the weekend. Les is here. Good to see you, Les. We've got Cushy in the house as well. Good to see you, Cushy. George is here as well. Good to see you, George. All members, these guys, which is great. Great to see. So let's get stuck in then. So we've got Wolves coming at the weekend. Obviously, we're off the back of a disappointing defeat, I think, suffice to say, in the Champions League against Borussia Dortmund. I think a game that we all felt, really positive about going into. I think we're really positive about winning. Obviously the 4-0 win against Palace, then the last Champions League game, that, historical night, that 4-1 smashing of Paris Saint-Germain. It just seemed like the stars were aligning for another great night of European football. And I just think, sadly, we were kind of tactically outthought and outgunned, outplayed really by a really experienced Borussia Dortmund side that may not be able to park for shit, judging by the ticket that you all saw on social media, but they do know how to win football games, and they did win football games, and they come at a cost of a few bad injuries too, which is going to affect, I think, the squad going into this game at the weekend. Good evening to you too, John. Thanks for joining in the comments, mate. Let's get stuck in then. So how do we think the lads are going to line up? So as Brian's just rightly said, I wonder what team we could rake together by 5:30 tomorrow evening, which is the kickoff time down at Molineux. So this is the team that we felt the lads are going to, Eddie's going to line up with. Really, it's kind of just a case of who's fit really. Now, this could easily be interchanged. You could have Target at left back. You could even see Lewis Hall get a game at left back, possibly even Livramento to do a save Trippier for Manchester United in the Carabao Cup next week, or does Livramento play that game? So, we've got these two really talented young fullbacks who aren't getting loads of game time in a minute. They did play in the Carabao Cup, and in the case of Livramento, played really well, extremely well. So maybe he'll get a sniff of the weekend, or maybe we'll save him for Carabao. But we've gone for basically, I think, the same team that really took the field against Dortmund, with the exception of Alexander Isak, who has got a reoccurring groin injury. It's a bit of a worry, this, I must admit. These little niggles that Isak seemed to get, and he can't shake them. And I was talking to a good friend of mine about this, and we were wondering, is Isak getting rushed back too quick for these games? And that's why he keeps breaking down. I mean, he's a player that relies on that blister and speed, in the game. And when you bring a player back from injury too quickly, who's got that burst, that kind of raw energy, and dynamic in his game, he is going to get hurt. It's the same as Joe Linton, the same as Joe Willock, who Joe Willock, thankfully, come off the bench against Dortmund. It was great to see him back. He did lack a bit of that Joe Willock zip, I think, but that will come in the weeks to come. So I just seen a great comment there from George about the bus driver. The German bus driver saw Ringo and thought it was a Beatles tribute. It's brilliant that I'll just hope that the guy who gave him a ticket was a Newcastle fan and just thought, right, you bastards, you'll have some of this. Absolutely. But yeah, I think there could easily be some changes to this squad. We've just gone with this because we think this is probably the strongest squad on paper right now that Eddie is going to go for. The worry here, I think, with Isak, and this could be an Eddie Howe masterstroke, really. Some news has come out that maybe Isak's injury isn't as bad as it was first feared. You know, it was a reoccurring injury that he had at Sweden at first kind of thought, and then it was, oh, it's not too bad. So it could be one of these Eddie Howe kind of mind games where Isak's on the bench. You know, he's maybe fit enough for 20 minutes or something like that, and then he can maybe win us the game. But my worry about Wilson is you're asking a lot of football of Callum Wilson. He's only just back from injury not too long ago himself, and I think he's building himself up to that Wilson sharpness. There was times, I think, when he come off the bench on Wednesday night where he just didn't have that little bit extra zip on the last man, and I think he relies on that a lot, Wilson. Now, I tell you what, he was against an extremely experienced centre-half in Hummels, who has been there, seen that, bought a T-shirt, marked every fucker there is to mark. So maybe he couldn't just get round that lad, to be fair. But it does worry me having to put one striker in all of these games. And if the first initial fear of Isak being out for 5 games is true, that's a real worry because you're asking a lot of Callum Wilson. I know people are saying Gordon can come into the middle, but then you have to rely on Joe Linton to go out wide. We've got Noelle Anderson, Louis Miley's still out with glandular fever. Joe Willock, you're asking Joe Willock coming aside, you know, lacking match fitness, will he break down again? And it's a real worry. It really is. We could really have done with that young striker, I felt, in the summer window, that third striker, you know, either a young striker or somebody who's coming maybe towards the end of their career, who is much better than Chris Wood, clearly, and knows that they're not going to really play a great deal of football. They're going to play cup football probably in maybe lower fixture Premier League games. That's the kind of two players that we should have signed, I felt, and we just didn't go for those players. So, or couldn't get them through for FFP or whatever it may be, even loan deals or whatever. And I just feel it's kind of coming home to roost a little bit now because we know Isak and Wilson have those injury problems, and these are now coming to the forefront, and that's a little bit of a worry. I must admit it is for me. Got a comment there from Wayne saying, "Evening, Chris," and on the chat, that's the lineup he thinks as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what we are going to see, Wayne. You know, again, it's a big roll of the dice for how does he chuck Hall in or Livramento into the back four. For what it's worth, I think either one of them could do a smashing job. I'm dying to see Lewis Hall in that left-back berth. That's no disrespect to Burn. Burn's been brilliant there, you know, even against players that you don't think he's got any right to mark. But when are we going to see Lewis Hall? You know, will that Manchester United game be the fixture in the Carabao Cup? Possibly. He started him against City, didn't particularly play too well. Played him in midfield, I thought, what was weird. And I think Hall is a left-back all day long, and I think he's a fucking brilliant left-back. And I think he could be, you know, England's left-back going forward. Don't play a lad in midfield, even if he wants to play in midfield. He's much better in that left wing back berth, and make that position your own, Lewis Hall. Don't try and go in midfield, especially this midfield, when people are fit, because it's completely oversaturated. You wouldn't get a game ahead of any of these lads, really. But we need a good performance, I think, from the boys. And, you know, listen, Wolves are no mugs either. You know, I think Wolves have played some all right football this season so far. They've been unlucky. But the last couple of games, I mean, they beat Manchester City, they drew with Villa. They beat Bournemouth in that fixture. That was a real justifiable fixture, I think, to Gary O'Neill, who I really like as a manager. He spoke about Newcastle in a real complimentary way as well, and I think he's just a real class act. And I think he's a very good manager. And I think, no disrespect to Wolves, I think he could even go higher than Wolves if he does a good job here. But you know, they're doing really well, I think, in the league. They're sitting in about 13th or something like that, I think. And you know, to me, I think that they have got some threats there. But going back to us, that's how I think we're going to line up, guys. And again, you got a few comments coming in as well. George is saying he likes that lineup. Also fancy Longstaff and J7 to be back on it after Dortmund. Very flat. They were quite flat. I think Sean just looked like he was in over his head a little bit in that midfield. And I think actually I said in the post-match, sorry, Mark said in the post-match, I didn't even do it, did I? Because I was away on business, hence why I've been MIA most of the week. But Mark did a great job, by the way. If you watched that, guys, if you haven't, go check it out. He did a great job on the post-match. But like Sabitzer and Marco Reus as well. I didn't even know he had that in him to drop deep and mark people. I even saw pictures on Trippier's Instagram saying not the result we wanted. And the first 3 pitches of 7 was fucking Marco Reus was marking him. I thought, did Marco Reus mark everybody in that game? Because he was up Bruno's arse off the game as well. So he did a fantastic job. But you're right, George. We need a performance from both J7 and Longstaff to get a result in this game. Ian saying Hall won't get a game, Livermore won't get a game. Miley won't get a game. What's the point? Ian's not happy. He's not happy. Miley's still suffering from glandular fever, I think, Ian. Miley's got to play. Ian, he's got to play because we've got nobody else to come and step in for that Tonali position anyway. But I said before, I think this young lad can really grab this with both hands, mate. I really do. I think he's a smashing footballer. I think you can play in any positions in that midfield. But if you can get that lad to sit at the base of the midfield and use his ability and his passing ability to almost become a 6, he might save us a fortune in the transfer market, mate. Wayne saying he thinks we might see Hall because Burn is a bit burnt out. I think Burn is burnt out, Wayne. Absolutely agree with that, mate. 100%. Again, yeah, Les is just comment there saying that Miley is out with glandular fever. Must be some glandular fever that I don't remember having glandular fever as a kid and being out for 3 or 4 weeks. But, these footballers are pure athletes, aren't they now? So these kind of things can floor them for ages. But that's how I think we're going to line up, lads and lasses. And I think the most important player in that whole team for me was probably the best player against Dortmund. I think most of you'll agree, next to Fabian Schär, and that was Anthony Gordon. He was absolutely on it against Dortmund. I know he lost the ball for the goal, but when you're a player who's brave enough to try and take people on, you're going to lose the ball. Maxi did it all the time. The difference between Gordon and Maxi is there's a directness in Gordon's play. He gets it and he goes and he gets it and he goes and he goes and he goes to the dangerous areas and he keeps running at people. He doesn't go back and do stupid tricks and put his teammates under pressure. He doesn't do that. He lost that ball midweek, and I think that was one of the times I've seen him do that. And he's so aggressive and he's so relentless, as you say as well, George. Energy, just complete energy. You're talking about Miley, sorry, energy goes completely with glandular fever. I thought you meant Gordon. Gordon is energy personified, mate. But yeah, we need a big performance from Anthony Gordon in this game. I think he's a match winner. He could win this game for us. Ian's back on there just saying injury-prone strikers, but piss average players in the summer. John Barnes average. Injured Tonali. Due diligence. He's not happy. Ian's not a happy camper. And you know what, Ian? That's your right, mate. We don't diss anybody for having a difference of opinion on the channel. That's what makes Evermore what it is. We just don't do that, So you're not very happy about things, and that's right. You got a right to think that, mate, as well. The Tonali thing is disappointing. I mean, obviously he's been suspended now, but the weird thing is, I read on social media that apparently the Italian FA haven't announced this officially yet, so he could still play the weekend. I think Howe was saying they're waiting for some kind of notification to say whether he can play or whether he can't play. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there, because Tonali may get a chance to go into midfield, possibly if he is allowed to play. But I'm not even sure he would start. I think that 3 of J7, Longstaff, and Bruno will start this game, I think, and the lads will want to get a good performance to get back on track to go into that Manchester United game to really get a chance to get through the next round of the cup. Another comment from me in there about Madison. Yeah, do you know, I was talking to my gas fitter the other day because I was getting some service done in the old boiler, and that is the boiler in the house, by the way, before I get any slight comments. So yeah, Madder's more assists than anything in our team, 10k extra wages, and he went to Spurs. I think Newcastle did drop a bollock on the Madison deal, and I'm going to back you on that one, Ian. I must admit, the Madison deal was very disappointing, and I think that's a deal we should have done. And I look at some of the games where we've struggled to break teams down, and I think Madison would have won those games for us or done something out of the blue. We don't have a player right now who does something just completely out of the blue that can win you a game that's tight, that's scruffy, or get you a draw, like say against Dortmund. If we'd had a player like Madison who gets the ball 20 yards from goal and just goes whip top corner, you're back in a game at 1-1. You sit deep and you get a draw. We don't have a player like that. Gordon's probably the closest that we have to it, but he's very direct. He's not massive in terms of a goal scoring midfielder. He's getting there. He's getting much better. But I think he creates a lot more as well. But yeah, I think Madison is mustard. I really do, Ian. And I think we dropped a massive bollock not getting the play. I don't think we'll get a chance to get him again. I think that ship has long since sailed, and Spurs have got a great player there on their hands, and that's what it is, But yeah, Cushy's right. We have got Bruno in the middle. I think the issue is with Bruno. Yeah, that's all we've got. Bruno in the middle. Yeah, no Botman at the back. No Isak can attack me. Exactly. Wrap Bruno in cotton wool, Cushy. But I think with Bruno as well, and we're talking about this number 6 role. And again, this is an issue that we didn't fill in the summer. We need to address that in January, in my opinion. My money's on Calvin Phillips. I love the Neves rumours. I looked at some of the comments on X, as it's called now, and the bedwetting was already there. He says, illegal, you can't do it, this is cheating. Yeah. It wasn't cheating when Frank Lampard went to fucking Man City when he was at New York, was it? It's not cheating when Udinese and Watford do it all the time. It's not cheating when Leipzig and Salzburg do it all the time, is it? Yeah, but when it's Newcastle, it's cheating. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Usual shite from these whiny face fans. But I'd love the Neves deal to come off just to fucking wind everybody up. I really would. I saw the personification of moralistic integrity that is Oliver Holt on his white steed on Twitter, having a go about, what did he say about Tonali? Open bus parade if Tonali starts, and he was slagged off by a prominent Newcastle Twitterer, if you want to call that, in Sad Mondo. And fair play to her. She buried him, and he come back and started to try and make excuses about it because he's just a wanker, and he really. But going back to the game itself, I think that's the best lineup we're probably going to have, really, in all fairness. And I think, it is going to be a tough game. It is going to be a tough game. Mark said the admins on the slide there. Oh, yes, to see their faces. We will definitely do a video about that just to laugh, and we might even mock those two sad wankers up either side of me or Mark, where we just laugh at them probably on what's going on, I'd imagine. But going back to this game, going back to Wolves in particular, I do think Wolves have got some momentum going into this game. This is a dangerous game. This isn't a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, rock up and just get the points kind of a game to me. Newcastle are going to have to be on form and at it in this game, and we need Miggy to produce. We need Gordon to produce. We need Wilson to be sharp. We need the midfield to be strong. The back four is generally always strong, and if it's that back four that we go for, I think that should keep Wolves out. But they've got some decent players there. They really have. I think the big threats really. I think certainly is Neto in midfield. I think he's been absolutely brilliant, Pedro Neto, and up front, Hwang Hee-chan, or the what did he call the Korean guy, as Pep Guardiola called him when he scored the winner against Manchester City. I remember your name, mate, possibly because I'm reading the lineup as well, but still, never mind. But I think they are two very good players, and I think certainly Neto has the ability to find pockets of space in that midfield, and Bruno's going to have to keep one eye on that. I think out of the three midfielders at the minute, Bruno's the one who's really dropping deeper in that, and I don't think that helps the play. I really don't. I want Bruno third up the park, going back to that defensive midfielder conversation. You go sign somebody like Calvin Phillips or Neves in January, that gives Bruno the freedom to get 15 yards further up the park, where he's more dangerous. He can thread those through balls into Wilson or Isak. He can take a shot from 25 yards, test the keeper, put it in the top corner. At the minute, Bruno's got more eyes backwards than he has forwards, and I think that is limiting his play. He's still playing really well. He's going to tackles, he's passing the ball around really well, he's whipping it left and right, and he's looking class, but he's not as much of an attacking threat as Bruno right now, because the midfielders around him just want to bomb on and bomb on and bomb on. I love Longstaff to bits. His running and his energy is incredible, and I think he's been key to Newcastle getting back on track. But he was poor on Wednesday. He was a bit of a headless chicken at times, and I think he has to be focused back in this game, and he has to be the Longstaff that we know and we love, and just run at teams relentlessly and make them go the other way backwards. If Neto's got to go back and track Longstaff's run and Joe Linton's run, then, and Trippier going forward as well, then that's great. We nullify one of their good players. And obviously with Hee-chan, if Shaw and Lascelles was decent on Wednesday, I thought, again, strong, good positional sense, didn't lose the ball a great deal. Lascelles' renaissance continues while the Botman is injured. Just an update on Botman. I saw one come out on the Chronicle there that they said that Botman apparently looking like he could be back for the fixtures in the week, i.e. Manchester United, Dortmund and Arsenal. That's massive if Botman's back. As good as Lascelles has been, we do miss Botman at the back. And I wonder, had Botman been next to Shaw for the Dortmund game, would he have stepped out and would he have possibly blocked that shot? I don't know, because he's got that radar to get out there and block people. But Lascelles has been great, but give me Botman any day of the week, guys. I'm really sorry. Ian is saying there, he'd love Neves to Halty Goldbridge, Goldstein, and the Cockney bastards will cry wet one. Yeah, what was Cundy talking about the other day? Honestly, mate, Cundy with a silent T, talking about Newcastle not being a big club. Fair play to O'Hara. O'Hara set about. That's why I didn't rant about it, because I thought O'Hara actually had him a little bit as well, which was really good. Then there was some wet wipe Liverpool fan with his Scouser accent, saying that Newcastle shouldn't be in the Champions League, and then they rinsed him and said, "You're playing Thursday nights, mate." Typical Liverpool fan base. Pete saying, "Agree, we missed out on Madison. Lack some creativity creativity bit in the summer. We didn't really recruit in positions we needed to improve the starting 11. We did improve the squad, though. I think that's a fair shout, Pete. I really do. Thanks for the comment, mate. I think that we needed to beef up that squad. We needed cover in full-back positions. We needed cover in midfield. We needed cover up in the wide positions. We needed cover up front, which we didn't cover. That was probably a key area, as was number 6. The right-sided centre-half position is still very much something that we're talking about. The Lascelles' renaissance shouldn't get away from the fact that come the summer, they could go and get somebody like Antonio Silva from Benfica, who has to be the replacement for Fabian Schär long-term. Fabian Schär has been superb this season. And it's one of them seasons where you just think, actually, he's that good. Don't really want to replace him. Do you know what I mean? So I think there is key decisions that have to be made. January as well, in particular, I think as well. Thank you very much for that lovely comment, Wayne. I might snip that and show that to my wife because she doesn't think I am sometimes. But thank you so much for that, mate. I'm a wise ass, probably, is what it is. Quillo is saying that Tonali can't play tomorrow. FIFA has confirmed his ban. So that must have come out as we were talking. Thanks for that. And Mark's saying in the comments they had to move fairly quickly. It's no surprise, really. I wouldn't be surprised if the Premier League just gave him a little bell and said, just ban him, will you? Because it's Newcastle. Let's fuck them over. Wayne is saying that Bruno's class, reads the game, first class, always 2 steps ahead of the whole team, apart from... Do you know what it is? I think there are two most players that you would describe as probably world class. I know that's a big tag you throw out there quite a lot, but when you watch Trippier and Bruno play, it's like they're on a different frequency than everybody else. Isak has it at times as well, as does Botman, but the rest of them are just really good players. But I think those 3 or 4 in particular are excellent players, and they're a cut above. And I think they're the 2 or 3 players you need to really be bringing in for experience. I watched that Dortmund game, and I couldn't help to think to myself, had we signed somebody like an Ugarte as number 6, or somebody like Chiesa to play in that front 3, would their experience have won that game or got us a point? I know there are only 1 or 2 players, but it is just one of those. It is just one of those. Magpies is saying he's watching the Saudi game that Savage is in midfield with Neves. I'll have either one of them. I did think about Milenkovic Savage. I think that's a great shout. It really is. He's a great player. Wasted over in that Saudi league. Yeah, Schär's passing is key. 100%. The way he's bringing that ball out of defence and dribbling with it is just unbelievable. He looks like a Man City centre-half is the best thing I can say about him. Johnson, he thought Matty Target looked good when he come on. I'd play him and give Burn a rest for Man United. I did like Target. I did make a comment to Mark during the game when I messaged him and said, has Matty Target turned into Gary Neville? Because he got about 2 foot ahead of that halfway line and then shit himself and passed it to the right wing and just turned back. And that was vintage Gary Neville, that. But sadly, we don't have a David Beckham to whip the ball. And, again, there's another player maybe we should have looked at. Not David Beckham, James Ward-Prowse, those kind of the players to whip that delivery. And Trippier's delivery was poor midweek. Been great all season, but it was poor midweek. Comment there from me and saying Cundy always says we want a big club because Roman's dirty money covered his club for 20 years. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And he was thrown that at him by O'Hara. O'Hara did say that. I think actually, no, it was the caller. So it was the Newcastle caller. I didn't get the guy's name. But the Newcastle caller did say that you weren't a big club until Abramovich chucked all the money at you as well. And Chelsea weren't. I remember them playing at the that stadium when it was looked like a fucking sandpit in a car park. I remember Zola scoring some amazing goals there, and everything else. And they were nowhere near that big of a club. Neither were Spurs, nowhere near. And then Mike Ashley bought Newcastle. He flattened us. He flattened the ambition. He flattened the money. He flattened the quality of player that we were signing. And he took us off the radar. He relegated us twice. That's the reason that Newcastle, weren't classed as a big club, because they weren't getting in the Champions League like Chelsea and Spurs, because we had an owner who was more interested in profit over players. And that was basically what it was. And we don't have that anymore. So we are back. We are back in the big time. We're still, 5th in the Premier League or 6th in the Premier League. We're still in the Champions League. So we're having a good season, but injuries now are really, really affecting us, I think. And you're right, Ian. I think Will Aquino back is massive. He's got so much ability. He's so underrated by fans outside of Newcastle. For a while, I think Newcastle fans weren't sure what he was going to be, because when he first came, he just scored goal after goal after goal, and he was amazing. He couldn't miss, could he? I mean, if that was the Willock we had now, we'd put him up front probably if all these injuries were occurring. But Howe has made him such a better player all around. He's so deceptively quick. I've not seen a player in the league who gets the ball up the park as quick as Joe Willock does. He relies on that pace and that turn of speed that he's got, and that ability to turn a man. But he's missing that sharpness. And I think we just have to be a bit patient with him. And I think, and hopefully he'll come back. I mean, he might start against Manchester United on Monday. That might be a good game for him to start in, and he could tear them to shreds if he's up for it. Because they looked really weak, you know, at the back this year. And I know Maguire's done all right since he's come back in, but, you know, a sharp Willock and Anthony Gordon potentially, or Miggy Almiron running at them, poof, big trouble. Just a word on the injuries as well. I'm gutted for Jacob Murphy. I really am. And I think Jacob Murphy was playing probably his best football at this football club. Coming back into the side, he was absolutely sensational against Crystal Palace. He really was. And to get that injury is devastating for him. It really is. I hope he gets himself back quick as he can. I know he's got a similar injury, Andy Robertson, I think, that dislocated shoulder. But I'm devastated for him. I think he's such a good character as well, isn't he, to have around the dressing room. I'm sure he'll still be there, you know, making everybody smile and all that. But he was just getting into that flow of a game, I think, and you know, and I'm gutted for Jacob Murphy, and I wish him well. I hope he comes back soon enough. But yeah, I mean, the thoughts on the game just before we wrap up, guys. Just a quick one. This thoughts on the game. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's Ty's just dropped it. I'll stay for another 10, Ty, just because you dropped it. Thanks so much, mate. But I think for me, this is not going to be an easy game. 5:30 kickoff Saturday night. Molyneux, they're up for it. They're on a good run. The manager will have them pumped up, whipped up for it. The players will see Newcastle as a big team, and they'll want to make an example of another big team, just like they did against Manchester City. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game. It could easily be a 1-1 draw, but I'm going to stick my neck out and I'm going to go for Newcastle United 2-1. Callum Wilson on the score sheet. Maybe Anthony Gordon possibly as well. So I think it will be a tight game, and I think for me, we will just nick it in the end, and it'll be great to get another positive result going into a massive week of football. Let us know, guys, in the comments what you think about the result. Do you think I'm right with 2-1? Do you think I'm being a bit too reserved? Do you think we're going to smash them, or do you think we could be in for a difficult afternoon? We'll get your predictions there just before we jump off. A couple of more comments there as well. What's Kevin saying? Love Cundy. He knows nout, but he's a crack at the wide merchant. He is, Kev, to be fair. I think that's the reason I didn't do the rant video. Well, to be fair, not because I was just running my own arse with work as well, but potentially. But I just think it was a little bit of clickbait, and I think he was almost inviting me to nibble at it, wasn't he? Really, I did joke and say to Mark, "I'm never getting on Talk Sport after I'll slag them off, mate. And if I'm on, I'll be on after 10 o'clock." Yeah, because you'll be happy with the draw. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that's a good shout. Magpies are saying we loan Mint at the fine note. They've got a goal machine up top, 22-year-old Santiago Jimenez. Is that not a guy who played in goal for goal? Isn't that? Scored 2 in the Champions League on Wednesday too. Yeah, we have been linked to a couple of strikers. We'll do some rumor has it videos soon. There's a couple of names flying out there that will be linked to the Leverkusen striker. Let me know his name in the comments if you can, guys, before I go and Google it. But he looks a player. He's a bit of a goal machine as well. And I think he's only available for about 16 million quid or something. So that could be a real good signing. A real good signing. Oh, you're joking, Les? Is Minter injured too? My word, it's like a curse in Newcastle at the moment. That's shocking. Unbelievable. But yeah, for me, I'm going to go 2-1 to the Geordie boys, and I think that's a good result, to be fair. But we should hopefully be back on with the post-match analysis for the game. I will be back doing it as I'm back from my my crazy work travels. Horrendous flying for me all week. My God, the aviation in 2023. That's all I've got to say about that. But yeah, I should be back for the post match. Mark's going 2-1 as well for him in the comments as well. But yeah, we'll get back on Saturday after the game. Hope to see you all there, guys. Yeah, as I mentioned at the start as well, if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed already, smash that button, come and subscribe, like the video, help the channel grow. If you fancy being a member, drop that membership button as well. $1.99. You know, you won't regret it. Cheaper than a pint of lager, as we say. And it'd be great to have you on board and join this ever-growing squad. But until then, that's me done. Have a cracking Friday evening, everybody. Let's hope for 3 points at Molyneux, and we'll catch you later. Cheers.